Hey, thank you guys for coming. You're watching Living Coastal in Ventura. If you could please hit the subscribe button, that's going to help me bring more content to you. Today, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of living hillside in Ventura County, also versus the beach, because there's pros and cons to both. We're going to emphasize hillside, but we definitely want to compare to what it's like living on the sand, because a lot of times when you're in that, luxury, semi-luxury market, $1 million and up, and you have those options of being down by the water or being, up on the hill looking at it all, people often are drawn to one or the other for different reasons. So some of the things why people are drawn to living by the beach and near the sand is you've got great access to activities you may love. If you love surfing, if you love walks on the beach, running, just being there close to do activities, sure, it's a lot of fun. You can just grab a cart and go. But the thing about it is that you're paying for it not just in dollars, but in weather. So when you're right there on the sand, you literally are in the elements. The wind heavy winds with all that salinity in the air, it's going to create an oxidation. It's actually going to rust away and wear away at those materials quicker than they would have. So a lot of times people, they'll want to get away from some of that hustle and bustle that's down in the sand. You've got summer crowds coming, taking up parking. You've got some transient foot traffic that's less desirable. So why not the hill? So as we check out the hillsides and some of the benefits of living hillside, we've got 4 to 5 different hillside neighborhoods in Ventura, starting all the way from Grant Park on the Westend, featured with the cross, all the way to Rancho Vista, which is basically the border of Wells, Santa Paula, and basically the Saticoy area of the East End Ventura, and everything in between. Some of the best reasons for living on the hillside is going to be the views. Now we've got some remarkable views, and if you're living downtown in the West End, some of those homes are going to be more eclectic. They're the Spanish style homes, and they're going to be a little closer together. So you might have tighter streets. You might be closer, sitting on top of, above, or below your neighbor's property. So not as much yard, but you're definitely going to get these killer views. And going from west to east, the further east you go, you actually get almost a more expansive view, because you have more land to create the depth of field, which is really nice. So on the east end, I actually really like Rancho Vista Street, because you've got the hills of Camarillo and the Conejo that you can see diving into the ocean off of Magoo Rock. And then you've got Port Hueneme, Oxnard Shores, on into Ventura Harbor, and all the way out to the pier and north to Santa Barbara. So you get some really expansive views. Even though it's on the east, it's a little further away from downtown, but the views are to die for. And now moving this way, you've got Colina Vista, which typically were tract homes, but that tract and skyline did have a lot of burn houses from the Thomas fire that happened in 2017. So since then, a lot of those lots were either developed by sold. They were either bought and sold by developers or new buyers wanting to do custom homes. Some people did do their rebuilds, and the way it's changed real estate is now you have these mid-century modern, really exotic homes in these areas that were previously tract homes. So yes, it does pull the values up, but we do want to see things go from like to like. At the time, we were probably seeing pretty nice homes, peaking at 1.2 to 1.4, and now with newly renovated homes, those homes are actually selling between the 2.4 and 2.6 range. So it's definitely elevated the level of luxury homes in Ventura and Ventura County. And that's one of the benefits that you get when you go hillside. You're going to tend to get more affluent neighborhood. You're going to tend to get less of that transient, or probably none of the transient foot traffic. If people don't live up there and they're not, visiting someone, you really don't get a lot of traffic in those areas. There are a couple trails that people will park, Arroyo Verde Park and Two Trees, and kind of find their paths to go do some hiking, which is really nice up in that area. But you typically don't have anyone who's non-local or not someone that's going to be visiting or living there. So you don't get a lot of transient foot traffic or extra traffic or looky-loos or stuff like that. So the Hillside is definitely going to be a more affluent neighborhood. There's definitely some status to it. They like living on the hill. It's definitely a trophy moment that you've been successful and made it, and that you're in a growing city like Ventura. It's a really great investment because it's just going to get better from there. So let's go back on over to the west end of the hillside. So on the west end hillside, we've actually got a couple of housing tracts around the corner from Grant Park, where people own property and the land that goes all the way up the hill. We've got Salona Heights and Buena Vista. Just above Cemetery Park is one of my favorite neighborhoods and probably the town's crown jewel. Hobson Heights is a very eclectic neighborhood. They're built on the alluvial fans in a Spanish style, and you've got really eccentric homes because every single home is built a little different, but they have that theme. They're charming, they're functional, they're pretty to look at, and they're very close to downtown, and you're close to all those activities. So one of the best benefits about owning a home on the hillside is that you get the views, you're away from the foot traffic, you're away from the hustle and bustle, but it's literally right there. It's a quick jaunt down the mountain, so to speak, whether you're going by car, bike, or walking. You can get right into it, but you're kind of removed from it, and you have the view, you have the elevation. So Hobson Heights is definitely one of the places people want to move to. So going east of there, you've got neighborhoods that are just above the high school or just above the college. Above the high school, we've got streets like Sunset and Hillcrest, and those neighborhoods, a lot like Hobson Heights, they have the alluvial fans. They're eclectic. They have curvy streets, so a little bit more of a drive and be careful and drive safe, but tighter streets. And with those tighter streets, definitely a tight-knit community. And as you go out above the college, you've got some semi-hillside homes that do have views, but it isn't until you get above Foothill that you get the more dramatic views. Now, one of the cons is that as you go either to Hidden Hills or above Skyline, there are some properties where you're in that affluent neighborhood, you've got a nice home, but if you're on a dip or behind a mogul of a hill, you may not have a view. So you're in the neighborhood, but without the view, so you'll probably get a little better price, so you can buy into those neighborhoods for a little less. You won't have to spend as much. But if you've got, a terrific panoramic view that has, like I said, the hills of the Conejo and a good chunk of the Pacific Ocean out to the Channel Islands, you're going to pay a premium for that. So the more panoramic the view, the higher the price. Oh yeah, and one of the best things is because you're not on the beach, you don't have as much weather going on. So you don't have the oxidation going on. You're not socked in the fog. A lot of times that fog will be a low layer fog, and because you're elevated, you're going to be getting sunshine, and you're above that sea of fog, and that's a really nice feeling to have. That's pretty much the difference between beach and or hillside. We have the best of both worlds and everything in between, whether you like the hillside views or proximity for water and ocean activities by living right in town on Pierpont, or if you want the privacy and you decide that one of the beach homes up north is more suitable to your standards and tastes, we have all of that too. We also have everything in between. We've got Midtown, we've got the West End, and we've got the East End. So of all the benefits I spoke about, those go at every price point. And remember, at Sotheby's, luxury isn't a price point, it's an experience. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. This is Jeff Belzer, living coastal in Ventura. If you have any questions, real estate, buying, selling, anything at all, just reach out.